Welcome to the GCN Tech Clinic, where Conor and I answer your bike, tech and maintenance related questions. As ever, you can submit your questions down in the comments section below using the hashtag AskGCNTech, and we'll do our best to answer as many of them as possible within the allotted time. Conor, without further ado, what's the first question?
Mr. Lizard Lab sent this one in. Do I need to degrease a new chain before installing or riding? I asked this question on a forum and got quite a mix of opinions. A third said it was one of the best kinds of greases to use. A third said it is only to keep it from rusting and should only always be removed. And a third said it's okay to use, but not for too long.
So the advice on this has evolved and changed. So it's normal that you would get different opinions on it. If you go on the old Oracle Sheldon Brown, he would always say use the packing grease that it came with. And so a lot of people still do. But the packing grease that chains come in is not as good a lubricant. It's not as an efficient a lubricant as what you can put on the chain. It does protect it from rust in transit and all the rest of it. And one of the main reasons why it's not as good is it's very sticky. You can feel that in your hands, and it's very good at attracting dirt. And so while it will run really efficiently, and we've looked at this on rigs before, they do run great when you first put them on out the packet new and everything's immaculately clean. They do run pretty good. The problem is because that grease is very sticky, it attracts dirt and it very quickly becomes contaminated and draws that dirt in, and then it becomes inefficient and it is going to encourage chain wear. And so the best thing to do when you get a brand new chain, especially if you've spent money on a really good chain, like a Jura Ace one or an Ultegra level chain, is to strip it and apply your own better quality lubricant to it. So that's what I would suggest doing.
There you go.
One that will make your chain last longer, whether that's a drip-on wax, a full immersive hot wax, or a really good quality drip-on wet lube, like Silka Synergetic.
There you go. Good advice. Hope that answers your question. Moving on.
Next question is from Mr. Obst, who said, I've been looking into the aero and rolling resistance trade-offs with tyre widths a bit recently, but I've never seen running different widths on front and back discussed. Is that banned in races, or is there another good reason not to do it? Put a 25 on the front to cut through the wind, and a fat tyre on the back where it's mostly covered by the seat tube and other parts of the bike anyway, similar to what they do on race cars. As well as bigger tyres for the bigger driven wheels. Have you ever done different size widths?
So some of Canyon's bikes comes with different sized widths.
Do they?
So the Air Road and Enduro Race, amongst maybe a few others, but they definitely do. So they have a wider tyre on the back, narrow tyre on the front.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I believe that's for the wider tyre, has a bit of comfort. And then you have the narrow tyre.
Bit lower rolling, but less penalty.
Yeah.
This is something that I actually discussed and was talked about in recent discussion with JP Ballard from Swiss Side in the video that's on the Tech channel, published a couple of weeks back, as to why pro racing is faster now. This is something, he spoke about. So check out that video if you're more interested. Yeah. Next question is from
Epileptic cyclist. I've translated that too.
Yes.
With a few numbers in there, numerals.
Thanks for saving me there. Hi GCN team, I have a Merida Reacto 9000 and I find it very twitchy on descents after hitting the dreaded death wobbles and almost coming off at 75 kilometres an hour. That's blooming fast. 75k an hour?
Yeah,
Bit of a demon descender.
You don't want to come off at that speed, trust me.
Especially if you're epileptic. Anyway. Do you have any recommendations to help reduce the twitchiness, or is this down to improving bike handling skills? If the latter, what can I do? What do you think, Conor? You've descended at death-defying speeds. You're a good descender.
I think it's really hard to say without seeing how the bike's set up, I think. And But first off, check your essentials, make sure your headset's all tight and all that sort of stuff.
Good advice.
Because that is the number one thing that's going to give you a bit of a wobble.
You've got play in your headset.
There's a bit of play.
Scary.
You feel it. Tyre pressure, another one. Also your position on the bike. Like if you're quite far forward, and you can feel quite twitchy on the front end. If you're
unweighting the rear wheel, your weight distribution. When you descend as well, your weight does go more forward. So if your bike is set up in... That's why TT bikes feel horrible on descents, because your weight is more forward on a TT bike.
Yeah. I'd say it's probably those things other than bike handling related issue.
I think if you're descending at 75 kilometres an hour, your bike handling, I'm going to guess, is pretty good.
Yeah.
And you've not died at this point.
So I'd look into some of the tech things first, but it also depends how much it's happening. You sometimes do get a death wobble. Just if everything's perfect, it just happens. It might have just been a one-off. Maybe you're taking your hands off the bars, you've gone for a bottle, or you've just relaxed a bit after a corner and you've just felt it go.
Yeah.
It can happen.
So something I've been investigating is wheel balancing, right? And I've been speaking to a lot of different engineers about this. And I was in the Vision factory the other week and I spoke to their engineers about it. And I've learned quite a lot of things. A lot of this will go into a bigger video. Subscribe so you don't miss it. And what I've learned has blown my mind and is pretty fascinating. But one of the things that does contribute to a sense of bouncing and can also contribute to speed wobbles on descents is really unbalanced wheels. So maybe look into balancing your wheels.
I'm really interested to see where you go with this.
This was
very, very curious.
This was a problem. So one of the people who I spoke to is Josh from Silka, who said that he balanced back in the day Jan Ullrich's wheels for the Tour de France, and because he was struggling descending on his wheels at the time because they were so unbalanced, and it made a big difference to him.
It's interesting. I'm fascinated to try this. Fascinated. Moving on now though to Sweet Aussie.
He says, yeah, I want an update video on Alex's Unbound training progress. Right, well, quick, it's not really a question, but I thought I'd put that in anyway. Alex is currently at Sea Otter right now. He's riding Sea Otter Classic as well, the gravel race there. I think we can both say, having ridden with him fairly recently,
he's going pretty well.
He's going well. Yeah, he's flying. He's dropping us both. Yeah, I think he's Unbound training is looking good. I can't wait to see how he does, but I think he's going to do well.
Yeah, he's in his key month really now. He's getting to crunch time. So fingers crossed he has a bit of luck and has a bit of smooth sailing.
Yeah. Next question here is from Ted Bow, who says, while I understand that a dual-sided power meter would let me know about a potential power imbalance, I've never met anyone who actually changed their training or otherwise did anything about that imbalance. Is there some training adaptation that people actually do or not just talk about? I'd be interested to know. You got experience of this?
On the spot here. I've never really paid much attention to it.
I think there are people that we know of who've had imbalances quite at a high level. So, for example, Joe Dombrowski.
Matt Brameer's one.
Yeah,
after a big accident.
Yeah, and they've had the iliac artery issue where it pinches and kinks in your thigh. And so then you have to have a surgery to correct that, but they've identified that they've been able to see that one leg is producing no power compared to the other leg, and that's because the blood flow into that leg is limited by this kinked artery, which is something that it can identify. But while I agree, there's not many people who go, oh, I'm kind of 2% off on my left leg, how do I correct that imbalance and really work? People don't tend to work towards that. One of the things that I have been told by physiotherapists when I've spoken to them about one-sided power meters is that some people subconsciously learn, their body subconsciously learns to push harder with the leg that's measuring the power to get a higher number.
No way.
Yeah.
I do not believe it's no way.
Yeah, this is something that I've been told by people who aren't power meter. They're not selling power meters. They're just, this is people who are physiotherapists and physiologists. I'm pretty sure Phil Burt actually told me about this a while ago. But yeah, so you can develop more of an imbalance, some people believe, because if you're riding loads and loads and loads and loads, you're subconsciously improving your power reading by just sort of ever so slightly pushing. But if you think of how much you pedal, it kind of makes sense. I don't know. I've never experienced that myself. And I think that a single-sided power meter for most people is absolutely fine. And it's certainly if
I'd say the same.
If you're trying to if you just want to get a power meter and you can only afford a single-sided one, I would always use a single-sided one over no power meter. Dual-sided is better, of course, but yeah, a single-sided one, absolutely fine.
Unless you've got maybe a specific issue that you're recovering from.
Yeah.
And the dual side one might provide that extra information, which helps you like recover and get back to your best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. the subconscious at work.
Yeah.
M. Cowld sent this one in. Hey, AskGCNTech, what factors do you track to optimise training efficiency and prevent overtraining? What do you consider the most important elements for balancing progress and recovery?
Good one.
This is like you can have a very short answer or a very, very long answer here. So when I was training racing, I would have used Training Peaks to track my fitness, using their kind of like performance management chart, pretty much like power meter every ride, and then you just know accurately what you're doing in a session. You know, like the work you're putting in. You can use like their own metrics to kind of calculate your fatigue and your freshness from that, which I felt was like you got a pretty good marker from.
Yeah.
I know you're going to counter this, but I'm going to counter myself.
You know, all right, okay.
I know you're going to counter.
Yeah.
I think like as well though, I think it's all about, you can't forget to learn how to use like your own opinion on your freshness and how you're feeling. And
listen to your body.
Listening to your body is the most important thing, I think. That is like key. It's easier said than done because we all want to ride our bikes. We all want to go out and smash it.
But maybe not. Maybe you wake up and you think, I really can't be bothered to ride my bike today. That does happen.
Yeah.
In which case, yeah, maybe you shouldn't.
Yeah. So listen to your body. Sometimes it's a case of like when I was training hard, sometimes I would go out on my bike and just like, if I was feeling like that, I'd be like, see how I feel, go out, ride easy for half an hour. And if I still felt pants, then I'd sack it off and go home. And sometimes you go on your bike and like, actually, I'm feeling fine.
Yeah.
And I actually had some of my best results when I was like, I thought I was
having a bad day.
Having a really bad day. I thought I was like about to get sick, or I was about to like, drop off a cliff form-wise, and actually,
I think, listen to your body, and that's right. Like, sometimes you'll start a training session and you just give it a go. Do your warm-up and then see if you can do it. And sometimes your body will say, no, you've not got it. You're not doing it today. Listen to your body, bin it off.
Yeah.
Fine.
I think the body likes patterns as well, and like a good routine, and factoring that in to whatever your like schedule is or what you can manage. Factoring that in over time, so you're kind of following that same routine over weeks. That works really well. So making sure your rest is the same kind of like pattern, and also the work you're putting in.
Yeah, but fundamentally, listen to your body.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, right. That's all we've got time for this week. I hope you found this interesting. If we've not been able to answer your question, sorry about that, but keep them coming. Just keep firing them down below with the hashtag AskGCNTech, and hopefully we'll get around to it in a future episode. Gonna go now. Love you. Bye.